Welcome back to preview Saturday evening's Premier League match between Burnley and Arsenal at Turf Moor. Pascal, start with the away side, cracking run of form at the moment, and thumped Liverpool at home last week.
Yeah, 4-1 win, absolutely massive for them. It sort of billed as a big game in that top four race, and yeah, they are just looking great at the moment, aren't they? I think it's 10 wins in 11 Premier League games, and a fantastic performance. It was they got off to a really hot start, but then Liverpool came back into the game. But it was 3 goals in 8 minutes at the end of the first half, just fantastic. Bellerin, he's looking like a great player, obviously in that Spanish youth setup as well. So he's obviously got good pedigree there, and came inside, great finish from him. Özil scoring a free kick. I think there's a great record with Özil. Whenever he's scored at the Emirates, I don't think they've ever lost a game. So he's an important player. Sanchez with a fantastic strike as well, and then Giroud's goal as well, brilliant. Strike all 4 goals, really excellent strikes, and you have to say that there's not much Liverpool would have really done about any of those. I think the defending against Bellerin's could have certainly been better, but Liverpool had their chances. There was that Markovic-Sterling thing in the first half where I just don't know how they messed it up. All Markovic had to do was put it somewhere near Sterling, and he could have scored, but he's managed to put it past him. Sterling can reach it. Obviously, a lot of pressure on Sterling going into that. He said he was flattered by Arsenal's interests. He didn't have the best game, did he? So, and let's talk. He wants all this money for his contract. I think it's a bit cheeky from him. He's had a couple of good seasons, but if he is signed by a bigger club, maybe abroad, he's not going to play every week. He's not of that quality yet. So, I think you have to say he's been a bit of a diva. The way he's sort of handling these deals at the moment. I don't think it's reflecting great on him. But in terms of Arsenal, like you say, fantastic run of form. They've been. It's just a shame they haven't been able to keep it up all season, because they certainly could have challenged Chelsea. But same old story with them, isn't it? They have these runs of form where they look great, but they're still not really in the title race.
I think it's been levelled with them, isn't it? That they win when the pressure's off. When the pressure's on, they don't win. They showed that against Monaco. In the first leg. Maybe the Champions League, but maybe a little bit harsh. But we'll soon see the season. Like I say, they're sitting in second place, 7 points behind Chelsea, who haven't got a game in hand. So it's difficult to see that, isn't it? Like I say, they're going to finish in the top 4. They're 9 points above Liverpool in 5th. So they're going to finish top 4. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We've thought that all season. Arsenal have always been in the round there, haven't they? But you're looking at their run of games. Obviously, they play Chelsea on the 26th. The next game, obviously, FA Cup next weekend. But Chelsea play United next weekend. If United went there, beat Chelsea, and then Arsenal won this game, and then Chelsea dropped points against QPR, and then so lots of ifs and buts. But if Arsenal managed to do that, maybe they would have a chance. But it's difficult to see that. But overall, you're looking at where they are on the table, and they're obviously sitting second. The rest in a battle with United and City at the moment. So they're in really great form at the moment.
I think Wenger could potentially have a bit of a problem on his hands in midfield coming up, because we've seen Wilshere, Arteta, Diaby. I don't think Diaby will necessarily come back into the team, but there's talk about him getting another extension, which you find odd considering his injury history. Wilshere's another one, always gets injured, but the way they're going, with all these injury problems, Coquelin, who was on loan at Charlton, in the Championship earlier this season, he's come in and proved himself to be a fantastic defensive midfielder. So you wonder if there's going to be a place for someone. Wilshere, he does something different that a lot of other players don't, but someone like Arteta, you wonder if he's now second fiddle to Coquelin in that sort of ball-winning, defensive midfield position. So I think this summer, if all 3 of those guys come back fit and they stay fit, Ramsey got in there, Coquelin, like I said, Özil, Cazorla, there's so many midfielders in there. I think Wenger, if they're still, say, in the sort of last stage of the season, if they're out of the title race, he might be able to experiment a bit, but I think he's going to have a problem on his hands this summer, keeping all of them happy. When he's talking about, the season ahead, where he sees them playing, how often he sees them playing. Maybe he might have to sell some players. I think you look at Arteta, he could be the sort of player that, someone else, maybe Everton, would poach him up again. I think he could be a good player for Everton. But I think he could have a sort of midfield problem, because if all of them come back fit, there's just so many options there. And, when you give Coquelin a chance and he comes forward, you can't really drop him, because he's been brilliant. So,
So I think the interesting with Arsenal is they've got exactly the same record, haven't they, at this stage of the season. And last season, they've won the same amount of games, same amount of points, and they still finished 4th in that running. So you wonder whether, I think they've won the last 7 in the league as well. No side's won 8 at any point this season. So if they did beat Burnley, obviously they'd set a nice little record there as well. That's quite good as well. Moving on to Burnley, obviously, terrible run of games. We spoke about that, but last time out against Spurs, not a great game, was it? Not one that will live long in the memory. Danny Ings had a good chance late on, but couldn't find the back of the net, and to get a point against Spurs at home is a good result, but wins this stage of the season, name the game, sitting in 18th in the table. They've only won 2 of their last 11 in the league, so slightly disappointing. Like I say, they're 2 points behind 17th place Hull. So the fact that they are still in that, obviously we mentioned their terrible run of games, the fixtures they've had, but decent into the season in terms of fixtures, and they might fancy the chances of staying up.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you say, they've had that. I think they played 7 of the top 8 in their recent games, and we said at the time when they started this run of form, we thought they might be down and out by the time the last sort of 6 games of the season came around, but they're not down and out. They're sitting in 19th. QPR overtook them on Tuesday night with that. They got a point against Villa, so they're level on points now. QPR with a slightly better goal difference. Burnley, they have got the worst goal difference in the bottom 6 sides that you expect to be in the relegation dogfight, but they're minus 23. Everyone else is a sort of the same. Hull have got minus 14, which is considerably better than anyone else, but their goal difference isn't too bad, so they can certainly make that up with a few wins. And like you say, this is their last game against one of the really tough sides, Arsenal here. You'd expect them probably to lose this, given we said how hot Arsenal are at the moment, but then they face Everton, Leicester, West Ham terribly out of form, Hull, and then they finish with Stoke and Aston Villa. So their last 6 games, you say they could get something out of all of them, and to say that they're not completely out of it going into that run-in, you have to credit them for sticking around. Obviously they beat City, got a point against Chelsea, got a point against Spurs. You wouldn't have expected them to get anything out of those games. So to get 5 points from those 3 games, you have to give credit to them, and they're not out of it yet. So at the moment, I think they've got a decent chance of staying up, because we've talked about some of the other sides who've got horrible run-ins. Hull, especially, theirs is awful. So I think at the moment, Burnley have got as good a chance as any of the bottom 3 of getting out of it.
Yeah, they will certainly fancy the chances. Like I say, this is a tough game. Can you see them get anything from this one?
Not at all, no. I think Arsenal at the moment, they're just completely rolling. I mean, I know Arsenal, they'll probably have one eye on the FA Cup semi-final, because unless it does go disastrously wrong for Chelsea, Arsenal are just going to finish second or maybe third, depending on how United go. They're not going to win the title, I don't think. So the FA Cup, if they can win back-to-back FA Cups, that'd be good for them. They should beat Reading. Reading are a Championship side who have not had a good season. They're sort of sitting in the bottom half, not doing much at all. So they expect to win that, but even though Arsenal might have one eye on that Wembley semi-final, I think they're just having too much for Burnley here. They look great. Giroud is looking brilliant at the moment. Sanchez, Cazorla, they've got so many good players, and I think they could win this 4-1.
4-1. I actually agree with you. 3-goal scoreline. I think Arsenal will get. I think Burnley will get well beat here. I think Burnley have only scored twice in their last 5 games against Arsenal. Got a 1-1 draw when they played Turf Moor 2009, but apart from that, they found it difficult. And I think they'll get a little bit of a hammer in here. So I'll go 3-0. So both see Arsenal win this game, really comfortably. Thanks for joining us.